Hey guys, I'm Aaron from Think Languages, and today I want to talk about why I personally believe that conversation practice is the single most important thing you should be doing if you want to learn a new language. And in fact, if you were going to learn a new language using only one method, the method I would recommend is conversation practice. If you had no Duolingo, no podcasts, no textbook, no workbooks, and there was just nothing else that you could do other than talking to another person, I would say that is the number one best thing that you could choose if that was your only resource for learning a language. Now, of course, if you want to follow along with my whole process for learning, because I don't actually recommend learning with only conversation practice, but if you want to follow along with the whole process and learn all of the other important steps, you can check out my website, which I will link to below. That's Path to Fluency. And of course, as always, if you want to see more videos, subscribe and click the little bell icon so you don't miss any of my future videos. Anyways, why is conversation practice so important? Well, the number one principle to remember in language learning is that you have to practice doing the things that you want to get good at doing. Okay, so if you want to get really, really good at fill in the blank exercises in a workbook, then just do that all day. Okay, if you want to learn Latin, let's say you only want to learn the language because you want to be able to read ancient texts. Maybe you're a historian or something and you want to be able to read Latin. Okay, fine. You want to improve your Latin, just read all day, because that's what you want to do with the language. You want to get better at reading? Read. Most of us, however, want to learn a new language so that we can talk to people, so that we can have conversations, so that we can do interactions with other human beings, have a give and take. And that in itself is a skill. Okay, the ability to communicate with another human being is a skill that is entirely separate from memorizing all of the grammar and all of the rules. Okay, so no textbook can provide you with experience getting better at using the skill of just talking to someone. Okay, so that's why we really need to engage in conversations with other human beings. All right, there are some apps out there that can kind of provide a little bit of practice with robots or computer-generated responses, and that's fine. But it won't replace actually interacting with another person. Okay, so you want to get better at talking a language, you have to actually talk. And of course, when you're first starting, your conversations are going to be very different from the conversations that you're probably typically used to having in your native language. And one way that you can go about doing that is by finding a tutor or a conversation partner on italki.com. You just pay a small fee and then you have someone that's willing to just talk to you in your target language. You have to be careful though, because I find a lot of tutors, they're trained teachers, right? And they are trained in how to teach grammar, and they have a textbook that they want you to go through, and they want to teach you all of these rules, and typically they will use English a lot, or your native language, whatever it is that you speak. I try to avoid that. Okay, if I'm hiring a tutor, someone to talk to me, I don't actually want someone to take me through a textbook. I certainly don't want them to speak English with me. I'm hiring them because I want to speak my target language with them. Okay, I'm learning Thai. I don't want a tutor to speak English with me. I want them to speak Thai with me. Now, at the very beginning, you're not going to be able to say a whole lot to them. So you have to find someone who kind of knows what they're doing, and ditch anyone who doesn't want to just speak to you. A conversation in your target language, if done right, can be very comprehensible, even very, very early on in your language learning journey. When you don't know many words, teachers can find ways of making a conversation comprehensible. Okay, you pull out a magazine and they point to different pictures, they point to different colors. Okay, you have conversations about something simple, something tangible. And then it can be heavily question-based, right? You are not yet at the point where you can say a whole lot in your target language, but you know how to say yes or no, or if not, your instructor can teach you how to say that. And so they start you off with yes/no questions. Then maybe they work up to WH kind of questions like who, what, where, when, why. And then you learn a few words later on as you go, and you start to be able to answer those questions. Another easy way to get started that is not quite as terrifying as jumping right into a conversation with a person face to face is text conversations. And that's fine. That's a fine baby step for getting started because you're still interacting with a person, but you have time to just sit down and think. If you need to look up a word here and there, you can do that. You can just feel a little bit more comfortable. You're not rushed. Okay, if you don't know a certain word, you have time to figure it out. And then as time goes on, you can even progress to voice messages, right? So you, instead of texting something, you record what you want to say, you hit record, you send it to them, and that gives you the opportunity to listen to what you said, to hear yourself. If you don't like it, you can re-record it, and it just takes away a little bit of the stress of talking to a stranger or talking to a friend or anyone, really. For me personally, I've found HelloTalk to be a great app for getting started with text-based conversations and then later on voice message conversations. And then as you spend some time practicing your language with a person, you get to know them a little bit better, you graduate up to Skype conversations, or I guess Skype might be a little bit outdated now, but Zoom or FaceTime or whatever you use. And that is a lot more intimidating, but if you've spent some time with a text conversation, voice message conversation with someone, it's not as scary as it might sound. And so as you progress through the language, you move up from just talking about colors, talking about simple, tangible things. You find someone that you can just discuss whatever it is that you want to discuss with them. Find something that you're interested in. Talk about Marvel movies, talk about fishing. Those are some of my interests. Another great way of finding someone to practice with is if you find a significant other who speaks your target language. Especially if they don't speak your native language, then you are really solid. And I'm not suggesting don't lead someone on to think that you're in love with them just so you can get some language practice. But what I am saying is that if you find someone who you are legitimately interested in, you're going to want to talk to them, right? And you're going to talk to them a lot. So that's going to provide you with a lot of conversation practice. But of course, it doesn't have to be romantic. It can just be whatever hobby you have or whatever interest you have. Talk about that with someone because those are the things that you're going to want to learn how to talk about anyways. Because why are you learning a new language? Well, you're going to want to be able to share things about your life, share your interests and things like that. So what do? We practice talking about the things that we want to be able to talk about, right? It doesn't matter what your textbook tells you to learn. It doesn't matter which vocabulary words they want you to learn. That's generalized for anyone. Practice speaking about the things that you want to speak about. You won't know all of the words right away. That's fine. Your conversation partner can help you. And you will start to pick up those kind of words as you talk about that topic more. So thanks for watching.